Alright, just want to show real quick how I would do these labels. First of all, I would make my view top 2D wireframe. I don't trust that labels are going to display correctly whenever I'm looking at a 3D view. Second of all, we want to go ahead and turn on everything just so I got an understanding of what's in this drawing right now. Okay, that way I know that if I'm trying to label something and it's disappeared, it's not because the label's coming up on a frozen layer. I'm going to go to annotate, hit add labels. I'm going to change to a line and curve label. We'll just click to see that default's working. Okay, default's working. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create my own now. So I'm going to create new. I'm going to call this contour. I'm just going to say major. For this one, text style, we're just going to leave all that the default. The number's always too big. Note that layer 0 is a safe one. Basically, we're going to use our current layer, but you cannot freeze layer 0. If you like to freeze layer 0, you can put this on another layer, but you got two things. You've got the object layer and you've got a layer for the label that's nested inside of that. So just keep that in mind. That part can be a little bit confusing, and a lot of Civil 3D objects work that way. So we get into the actual label. Table tags are really irrelevant in this situation. We want to hold one of these. This distance label is probably the one to hold. Direction arrow is actually a different type of object. It's an actual direction arrow, so we want to delete that. The bearing is a text label, and we want to delete that. And distance, we're going to use the distance one. Basically, if you didn't have any of these, you could hit text there and it would come up. But we're going to change the name distance to the name elevation. We want that to label on our feature, so that's all fine and dandy. The contents is where we're going to create an actual label. So right now it was giving that general segment length. I'm going to delete that. We don't want a general segment length in there. What we want is we want a Z value. And with a polyline, you're going to have a Z. Now, if you have a line segment, you got to be careful doing this because line segments or a 3D polyline could have variable Z values. So you got to use this for 2D polylines only, but you can use an end or start Z value. And if it's a 2D polyline, the Z value is going to be the same for every vertex. So you're fine doing this. We want to put our precision in here. I have no idea. Most of the time for a contour type label, it's going to be a whole number. So I'm just going to click right there. And now I have this. Now you see that this is top and center. That's not what we want. We want it to be middle center. So I'm going to change that to middle center. We see that there's an offset, and we don't want that offset. We want that to be 0, so they're centered right on the line. Now what I don't want either is I don't want the line, this to be coming through the line. So where we had this border, there's a background mask, and I'm going to turn the background mask on. Typically I did not look at my text height, and sorry, I don't use metric, so I'm not really sure, but one rule of thumb is that your gap should be about half of your text height. So if my text height is 3 millimeters, I'm going to make my gap 1.5. And that should do it. Now, if this is for an existing contour, I'd probably leave it like this. I might even make it italicized, my text italicized, so that I can distinguish what's existing. If it's proposed, I can come in here and do true and do like a rounded rectangular or rectangular, and it will actually create a label where now that I have contour major, I can click here and it's going to give me that label 9 with a line through it. Now if I want to label several of these others, I can also and say that I want to have a minor contour label that's just a little bit smaller. Actually, that one seems pretty darn small. Oh, and this is kind of cool too. You can drag this thing anywhere along the line. Um, let's say that I want to have a contour minor. I can copy the selection. Actually, you know what? What's even better than copying it is I can make a child of it, create a child of it. So that way, if I go and change the label content or anything like that, it'll affect the height. And all I want to do here is change the name from contour major to contour minor. And in my layout, I want to simply change my text height for the elevation from 3 to 2, and I'll change my offset to 1. Apply, hit OK. And now if I was going to label all of these others, and you can see if I had an actual different scale in here, it looks like there's only one scale. But you can see this is larger than those. Now it looks like that's actually the line is in front of it, but if I regen, you'll see that it actually goes back. One thing that happens sometimes is you'll have, you know, over the course of a drawing, you will have some entities that get behind the object. All you got to do is click one contour label, Control Shift A will select everything, go and hit display order, bring to front, and everything's up in front. I hope that helps you with getting started on your contour labeling.